In a previous video, I did a refresher on Mocha and how it works. Now I will take that knowledge and apply it to these Ethereum contracts. I have this diagram here to display how I will apply the Mocha test suite to Ethereum. Actually, this is not the diagram. I'll pull up the one that I am actually referring to. Let's see. Okay. And I'll just share that with you all. This is the one that I am referring to. I'll resize it. Okay. So I'm going to use the same cycle that you see in this diagram. Mocha is going to boot up in my inbox.test.js file and start to execute the test in there. Inside the file, I'm going to go through the same cycle over and over again. The first thing we're going to do is take the bytecode and deploy it to my local test network. Remember, that is the Ganache local network. This will deploy a new instance of my contract. I will then write some code to manipulate that contract in some fashion. For example, change the message stored in the contract. After that, I'm going to make an assertion about a value tied to the contract. So in the manipulate contract stage, I'm going to change the message stored in the contract. Immediately after, I will write an assertion to make sure the updated message is persisted in the contract. Then I will deploy a new contract and manipulate the contract in some fashion, some other fashion, and make an assertion about that. Taking the flow into mind, let's take some common constructs in Mocha and apply it to this flow here. So I'm saying that at the start of every test, I want to deploy a new contract. It sounds to me like that is common startup logic that is going to be common across every test that I write. So that is the entire purpose of the before each helper function. And so let me pull up the last diagram that will help us understand this better. And let's see here. Okay. And sharing of the screen and so here we go. So this one looks just like the previous one I was just showing you. But again, here, what I'm trying to show you is that what Mocha functions or statements I'm going to be using. So in this case, the before each helper function is used when you're going to be using something, some kind of logic repeatedly, such as deploy a new contract. And so we'll use before each with Mocha to do some common initialization or configuration logic. So inside of a before each, I'm going to want to attempt to deploy a new contract. Then the process of manipulating the contract will be slightly different for every test that I write. In every case, I probably want to manipulate the contract slightly differently. That means the actual manipulation should be placed into an it block, which is custom for each testing scenario. Finally, I'm going to make an assertion about the contract, and assertions are always placed inside it blocks. At this point, you probably just want to write the test. But one more thing before I start, a contract is created through a transaction. So there's another diagram that I want to display to make this point. And let's see, I should have it already up actually somewhere. Not that one. All right, this is the one. And share this with you all. Okay, and I've shown this one before. Just going to resize it real quick. All right. So the contract is going to be created through a transaction. So I take an external account, which is the one I create, and I submit a transaction with a compiled bytecode in the data field, and the to field will be left blank, right? So anyway, how is this relevant? So the entire idea here is when I attempt to deploy a contract to the local test network running through Ganache, I have to make sure I have some amount to use to deploy it. So for that, I don't have to do anything extra. The Ganache module, and I'll show you the back to the code. So this Ganache module here is actually going to help me with that, because Ganache automatically creates a set of accounts for me to use as soon as the test network boots up. So the good thing about these accounts is that they are in an unlocked state. Any unlocked account means I don't need to do any special things with private public keys to gain access. I can directly get used to the accounts in the Ganache network. All right, then, that's enough. In the next video, I'll start writing out my entire first test. See you then.